See, big weenies are better. Hi and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around I got a movie haul for you. Now I don't need to be doing this. I could be sitting around binge watching Lancelot Link's Secret Chimp, but instead I'm going to show you the haul that I've got. A lot of these are picked up for a couple of bucks each, which is a lot of fun, and the movies that I wanted to see, but I didn't know I wanted to see half of them until I found them in thrift stores, op shops, charity stores, whatever you want to call them. So we'll get started with this one, which says Security Device Enclosed. It's a Western from the 1960s, starring Gregory Peck, Omar Sharif, Telly Savalas, Burgess Meredith, Anthony Quayle, and Edward G. Robinson. Mackenna's Gold. This one I kind of remember. I remember this one mostly because there was a pictorial about it in Playboy magazine, because there was a little bit of nudity in it, which was kind of unusual for a Western. But I did my due diligence on this one. It is widescreen, and I've been bitten by that before. Always check to make sure they're widescreen, people. Otherwise, you're going to get a pan and scan version of a movie you want, but you don't want to watch it like you're watching it on a TV in 1973. You want to get it in full widescreen. And this one I got for $1 down at the Uniting Church charity store in Werribee. It's 123 minutes, so it's not a short one. $1 for 123 minutes, not a bad deal. Going to watch that one. I think I might binge some Westerns in the warmer weather. I might watch them in the summertime, because summertime's the right time to watch Westerns. It's hot and sweaty, and the sun's beating down, just like it is in Western. So I'm going to watch that. By the way, stick around to the end, because I've got a gift that was given to me by a friend of the channel and a subscriber called Aengus, who's also a Patreon supporter, if I recall correctly. And he sent me a really killer present. I'm going to show you that at the end of the video. This is what we call foreshadowing. Next up, got a movie that stars an Australian actor and an American actor, directed by Robert Mandel. This one I remember being a lot of fun. I haven't watched it in a very long time. There was a sequel, which had a very unimaginative name, and this one I picked up for about $1 again. FX. Now I know this has been released on Blu-ray since this one has been released. And again, this is widescreen. I double-checked this. Starring Brian Brown and Brian Dennehy. Police procedural kind of buddy thing, where Brian Brown's a special effects technician, Brian Dennehy's a cop, and they team up to defeat bad guys. Who are the bad guys in this one? Clifty Young, by the look of things. Haven't seen this one in a long time, so I'm inclined to put it near the top of the list and just enjoy it again. Don't necessarily need to see the second one. I believe the second one wasn't quite as good. 1980s, I think. But yeah, one of those late 1980s Orion pictures where the action sequences are usually pretty good. Going to enjoy rewatching that one too. This is an anthology of Stephen King adaptations. It was done for either a TV or a streaming service. I haven't seen it, and I picked it up for $1. Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Let me know if this one's any good. Looks like it's got a pretty good cast. You got William Hurt in there, Tom Berenger, William H. Macy, a whole bunch of heavy hitters in there. Probably made about 20 years ago from the look of it. But I know nothing about this, but it's worth it for $1 to pick this up and just see what's there. How many? It says it's in total 362 minutes, and it's on 3 discs, so they haven't crammed them all in, but they're adaptations of Stephen King short stories, the ones that didn't quite make it to being feature films. You can put them in an anthology and just give individual directors a go. I'm not sure which directors are in there, but if this is like a lot of these other adaptations, they get some pretty good directors to come in and just do one episode of these things, and they really hit hard when they do. There's a few of the clips from it. Yeah, again, 8 different stories. Know nothing about them, and at $1 you're going to take a punt on these things. If it turns out to be a piece of crap, I can always recycle it and give it to the op shop again, and I'm only at $1, so not a bad deal. There's a release disc in there. No, there's not. It's just rotating for some reason. I know this movie has come out in one of the neo-noir box sets that Imprint Vision are doing, but I don't have that particular box set. Now this one is a little deceptive because it doesn't tell me whether it's widescreen or not. So I'm going out on a limb with this one. Really good neo-noir, directed by John Dahl. It stars Dennis Hopper, Lara Flynn Boyle, and Nicolas Cage. Red Rock West. I think I used to have this on VHS, but I know I've enjoyed it in the past. So with a bit of luck, this is widescreen, and I haven't tested it. I think there should be a law against putting these things out on DVD and not telling you whether they're widescreen or not. But rock solid film. Who else is in it? Anybody? JT Walsh is in it. Don't remember much about it apart from the fact that I liked it. But I'm going to watch that and I'm going to enjoy it again. And if it does turn out to be pan and scan 3:2 aspect ratio, I am going to recycle it to an op shop. Some of these movies I'm only temporary custodians of. Some of them around me, of course, I'm going to keep forever. If this one turns out to be a solid widescreen version of it, I will keep it. If not, I will not. This one I picked up for $1 as well, even though it is the Criterion Collection. The 1936 version of 39 Steps with Alfred Hitchcock. Looking forward to revisiting this one. I kind of like the Robert Powell one that was done in the 70s, but I like this Hitchcock version better. Adapted from the novel by John Bucket, of course. There's a few extras in this one too. There's a complete broadcast of the radio play version of the movie. The Art of Film, Vintage Hitchcock, a Janus Films documentary detailing Hitchcock's British period. Excerpts from the original press book, original production design drawings, subtitles, audio essay on it from a Hitchcock scholar, new transfer with digitally restored image and sound. Booklet as well. I don't even recall where I got this, but I know I got it for $1 or $2. Happy to have that. Really should binge some old Hitchcock because old Hitchcock is at least as good as later Hitchcock. Anything he did in the 60s into the 70s, his last movie was 76, was pretty good. But the earlier stuff I find really interesting as well. Things like Saboteur and Sabotage. Those ones hit for me. This one I got because I thought I would do a video about obscure superhero movies, and I grabbed this one when I saw it, and that was what gave me the idea to potentially do a video about obscure superhero movies. It stars Damon Wayans, David Alan Grier, Robin Givens, John Polito, and Jason Alexander. Blankman, comedy superhero movie from the 1990s. Is it widescreen? Yes, it's widescreen, so I'm happy about that. Haven't seen this one since I may have rented it on VHS way back in the dim dark era when dinosaurs ruled the earth, but I'm going to give that one a go again. Sometimes you're in the mood for a meathead comedy, so I'll watch that and hopefully I'll enjoy it. Here's another anthology series which used to be in a library, but they obviously got rid of it. It's an anthology series of masters called Masters of Science Fiction. It's got adaptations of Robert Sheckley stories, Walter Mosley, John Kessel, Heinlein, Howard Fast, Harlan Ellison, a whole bunch of different ones. There are 6 in the series, and it didn't get a second season. But I remember enjoying a few of these. I kind of got this, because I am, at my essence, a science fiction buff. Adaptations of short stories by classic science fiction writers. Unfortunately, they're all guys, which is a bit of a shame because there were, surprisingly enough, women who wrote science fiction in the classic era. But nonetheless, solid adaptations. Want to rewatch them. Enjoy my cultural heritage because since I am a science fiction fan. And something like this is in my sweet spot. I watched this one yesterday because I forgot that I was going to watch horror movies all month for Halloween. I kind of drifted from that because some other things grabbed my interest, and I am quite mercuric when it comes to my movie viewing. But I'd heard good things about this one. It was directed by Karen Kusama, based on a Diablo Cody script. Jennifer's Body. I like this one. It's got everything I need in a horror film. It's got blood and guts. It's got an underlying subtext. Very feminist movie, and there are some bits on it where it hits really well. It's about the hottie in a high school called Jennifer, played by Megan Fox, who has a bestie called Anita, played by Amanda Seyfried. On a really weird night, Jennifer gets kidnapped by a satanic rock band, and she comes back and she's not human anymore. That's all I'm going to tell you about that. This is the uncut version. You get the theatrical cut and you get the uncut version on the disc, which I liked, and I watched the uncut version. Really solid feminist horror film. I'd heard that it was okay, but I hadn't actually seen it until yesterday, and I recommend it. You should watch this one, particularly when you find out what this satanic rock band did with Jennifer. The tone shifts totally in the movie, and I like the fact that it did because it's important that it did. And I'm not going further into that, but there's some real nuance in this one. Great practical special effects as well, which I always love. Lots of throat slashing and gore and guts and things like that. J.K. Simmons turns up as one of the school teachers, which is kind of fun. I think this is an underrated one. It's from 2009. I'm kind of regret that I didn't watch it earlier. Recommended for me. This one I picked up for $2, it says here. I picked this up one of the many op shops of which I am a habitué. It's an umbrella set of 3 movies from about 10, 12 years ago. Essential World Cinema France. It's got the Gerard Depardieu version of Cyrano de Bergerac, Queen Margot, which stars Isabelle Adjani, and The Last Metro, Catherine Deneuve in a Francois Truffaut movie. Really interesting box set to get for $2. They're all on separate discs, which I totally appreciate. And to be honest with you, the Cyrano de Bergerac you get from Depardieu is not my favourite. My favourite is the Jose Ferrer one, for which he won an Oscar. I'm glad I got that. It's kind of compact for 3 movies, which is always good with the shelving space. Umbrella never doesn't deliver. Again, it's widescreen. And I know I'm harping on about that, but it is quite important to me. And when you're going op shopping, looking out for these things is really interesting. They usually hide in dusty corners like they're shy kittens, and then you find them and grab them. This one I got because it's an old film, and I think it's a very old DVD as well. Yes, by Payless, which was one of the budget DVD brands that was out around the turn of the century here in Australia, when DVDs were first given to the public. It's a Bette Davis movie from 1934. I think it's adapted from a Somerset Maugham story. It is. Of Human Bondage, with Leslie Howard and Bette Davis, Francis D, Kay Johnston, Reginald Denny's in there, Alan Hale Sr., directed by John Cromwell. Now and then I'll dip into a classic film or two, and why not this one? Cost me $1. I'm not going to be disappointed if it turns out to be a crap transfer. This one, of course, you don't need to look for widescreen because it's in the old days, and so it won't be in widescreen. But I'm hoping it's a fairly decent transfer of the film, and it looks like it hasn't hardly been used at all. Very clean for a 20-plus-year-old DVD. Yep, I'm going to check that one out too. Now, occasionally I'll go out on a limb and try something I haven't seen before. But I can tell just by looking at the back of this that this is a Korean movie, and yes, it is indeed. From the Wuxing collection, who put this out? Doesn't tell me. Historical action film from South Korea called Blades of Blood, which is a good name. I'll watch any movie with a name like Blades of Blood. I'm not even going to read the back blurb before I watch it. Looks like it's from the Joseon period based on the guy's hat. It says, gripping and well acted, highly enjoyable and entertaining. So I will give that one a go. And again, this one is in widescreen, so tick that box. This one I read a review of this in one of Kim Newman's books of horror movie reviews. And I thought, I will give this one a go, and then I tried to find it locally or couldn't find it. Went to eBay and I found it for like $8 with $2 postage. It's an incredibly low budget movie. I think it was made for about 10 grand. And it's a weird cyberpunk science fiction horror movie called Army of Frankensteins. Like I said, made on a really low budget. And ignore the aeroplane going over there. Basically what happens is some guy gets killed and resurrected, and the person who resurrects him, the mad scientist, who opens up a gateway, and a whole bunch of Frankenstein monsters from alternate universes come through and start messing things around. And then we time jump back to the American Civil War, and the bad guys weaponize all of the army of Frankensteins and the original Frankenstein's monster, and a whole bunch of heroes from both the 1860s and modern era have to fight them. And all of this is done on a crazy low budget. Special effects aren't any better than you'd expect from a $10,000 budget movie. But it's ambitious. And it's kind of fun. And in a lot of ways it reminds me of those old Charles Band movies from the late 1980s. Things like Zone Trippers. It's got a little bit of that vibe about it. It's a lot of fun to watch. If you can see it on a streaming service, I wouldn't recommend necessarily getting it on disc. But if you can find it on a streaming service, you're going to have an interesting and a bit of fun 90 minutes. This, from what I can see, is either a European or an English release of this film. And it's a kind of soft recommend from me. I enjoyed it. A bit of fun. Very different and ambitious. And I love the ambitiousness of the concept, where the guy wrote the script and then thought, how can I do this on a $10,000 budget? I'll get a whole bunch of Civil War reenactors. We'll get some guy who knows how to do special effects on a laptop, and we'll make a movie. This one everybody else has seen except me. How many discs is on this? This is heavy. Got 2 discs. Premium DVD edition. Of course it's in widescreen. Tons of extras. Trainspotting. Never seen it. I know it's incredibly culturally important to people who are younger than me, but I've never seen Trainspotting. And so I thought I'd get a copy of it. Got this in, it's in a slipcover. It's got 2 discs, one of which is a ton of extras. I picked it up for like $2 at an op shop. I thought, why not? I don't necessarily need a really high definition 4K version of it, but just one that kind of like a reading copy of a book. And so I got Trainspotting, lots of details on the back, so many extras, including Trainspotting at the Cannes Film Festival, where they have video of the actors and the director at the Cannes Film Festival. Some people say it's Danny Boyle's best film. I haven't seen it yet. Let me know whether I should put it to the top of the list. I do have a few more before I get to the gifty I've got. Didn't have this for some reason, and I haven't seen the second one. I picked this up on Blu-ray cheaply from JB Hi-Fi, and I enjoyed rewatching it. I think the chemistry between the 2 leads, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, is killer good. Got Philip Seymour Hoffman in a minor role in there as well. Just such fun to revisit Twister, the original version. And to be honest with you, the special effects hold up fairly well on Blu-ray. I know it's been released on 4K recently, but I picked up the Blu-ray cheaply. And it's a good, solid action film. I'll probably wait and see the second one on streaming before I make any decisions about that. But this one, directed by Jan de Bont, is a classic and really well done. If you like flying cows, you're going to enjoy this movie. I think I've mentioned this in a previous haul, but I'll mention it again. BBC adaptation for $3 of the Musketeers. Picked it up on Blu-ray. Got 3 discs, got a lot of extras on it. Modern version of the Musketeers one. This is not the one where we got 2 different movies. The more recent French version, which I picked up a few months ago. This one's got Peter Capaldi in it and Santiago Cabrera. Interesting cast. Going to give that one a go when I get a chance. I say that about all of them, but I will. This one's actually a drama anime, which has been compared to Miyazaki, but it's directed by Makoto Shinkai. And it was released by Manga. For $2, I picked up a copy of 5 Centimetres Per Second, which is actually a drama. There's nothing supernatural about it. It's a drama about 2 people who fall in love. And for $2, I thought I'd pick that one up. Let me know whether you've seen it and whether you recommend it. But it was at least good enough to be released on DVD, and I'm kind of intrigued by it. This one's controversial, not because of the movie itself, but because it's had a recent 4K release where they digitally smoothed out all of the grain on the film, and that pissed off movie buffs across the planet. But I got the DVD version, which I think somebody gave to an op shop because they were buying the 4K, and they ended up with the smoothed out, rough edges filed off 4K version. This one I picked up for $2 for the 2 movies, and they're each on separate discs. American Graffiti and More American Graffiti. Directed by, who is it? George Lucas. Killer soundtrack on the second one. I got the soundtrack for the second one on vinyl. George Lucas isn't my favourite director, I'll be honest with you. But I will watch those again, but not on a smoothed out 4K version that you pay an enormous price for, and the movie looks shitty. Let me know whether you've seen the 4K of American Graffiti in particular, because I'm hearing monstrous stories about it, and I always like a bit of gossip. Next one's Volume 2 in an anime series, which is very popular, and I got it mostly because I kind of like the theme tune to this one. Battle of the Planets Volume 2. The Space Serpent, this one's called. It also contains the corresponding Gatchaman episodes, the original one that was changed by the American people who released it. There it is there. A lot of fun. If I rewatch it and enjoy it, I may well try to get the other volumes. But again, it's one of those $1 buys where you just take a punt on it and go for it. There's 3 more to go. This one's from the American the film theatre collection, which has a whole bunch of really good movies from the 1970s, which were, for the most part, adapted plays. And this one's Eugene Ionesco's Rhinoceros, directed by Tom O'Hagan, starring Zero Mostel, Gene Wilder, and Karen Black. Absurdist comedy about a man turning into a rhinoceros. It's in widescreen. Yay! Lots of extras on this DVD as well. But I've got a few other of these American film theatre collections. I've got Lost in the Stars, and I've also got Jacques Brel is Alive and Well Living in Paris, the musical. That one I'm glad I got. I'm not sure whether I've got the Iceman Cometh, and I'm not going to look right now. The Iceman Cometh is really good because it's got Lee Marvin in a dramatic role with Robert Ryan of an adaptation of a stage play. That one's kind of fun. I'm going to rewatch that. I watched it when I was really young. I think it turned up on SBS, our multicultural TV station here in Australia. And I watched it and I didn't get it. But I'm going to give that one another go. And again, at this price, you're going to take a punt. This one was released by Umbrella, who for 20 years now have been putting out really interesting stuff, including these things, which aren't going to get enormous sales, but are preserving some interesting stage performances. 2 more discs and then the present. This one's from the Warner Archive collection. It's the pilot episode of a short-lived TV series that I really liked. The Delphi Bureau, The Merchants of Death Assignment, and it stars Lawrence Luckinbill as a guy called Glenn Garth Gregory, who has a photographic memory and can research things really quickly. He's like a pre-internet. And he gets hired by a woman for a very mysterious department, played by Celeste Holm, who sends him out to investigate weird goings-on in the Kansas wheat fields. There's something going on there, and he is investigating it. Supporting cast is really good too. Dean Jagger, Cameron Mitchell, Bradford Dillman, Bob Crane, and Joanna Pettit. I watched this one again. It's directed by Paul Wenkos. It's a pity the series didn't go further because Lawrence Luckinbill is really good in this. He, of course, played Cybok, the half-brother of Spock in Star Trek V. But in this engaging leading man and an interesting series, produced and created by Sam Rolfe, who created the Man from U.N.C.L.E. TV series. I like this one. I'm glad I found a copy of it on DVD. It's not widescreen because it was made for TV. Remember a couple of videos ago, I mentioned Death Race 2000, directed by Paul Bartel. And I said I didn't have a copy of Eating Raoul. Got a copy of Eating Raoul. The Criterion Collection version of it. Great dark comedy, directed by Paul Bartel, starring Paul Bartel and Mary Warrenov and Robert Beltran and Ed Begley Jr. and Edie McClurg. Looks fantastic on the Criterion one. I picked this one fairly cheaply. And the extras you get are a menu for the Paul and Mary characters in the movie. Their restaurant, the Country Kitchen. The whole information is done like a restaurant menu, which I love. See, big weenies are better. And I like the fact they put the production credits for the disc on there as well. Going to enjoy this one again. It's one of those perfect midnight movies that you see at an Encore cinema. Eating Raoul turned up a lot here in Australia at the Encore cinemas. And this is a great release of it. Happy I've got a copy of it now and I can rest and relax because I've got Death Race 2000, I've got Eating Raoul now, I've got Scenes from a Class Struggle in Beverly Hills. So I'm pretty much covered for decent Paul Bartel movies. A lot of fun. And the last thing is the thing Aengus sent me. After I mentioned Chitty Chitty Bang Bang on the channel, Aengus said, I've got something for you that's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang based. It's not the car, but you're going to like it. So he sent it to me all the way from Maryland in the United States. And I didn't know what he was sending me. And thank you very much, Aengus. I know that's not your real name. You've given me your real name, and I'm not sharing it on the channel. But he sent this to me from across the other side of the planet, and I am gobsmacked. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the child catcher. Robert Helpman's child catcher in a model. And I love it. This is an enormous gift, Aengus. Thank you so much, mate. I'll do a close-up on him if I possibly can. It's a really good likeness of Robert Helpman, the great Australian actor, dancer, and also he did a surf song for TV here in Australia in the 1960s. And I'll play you about 3 seconds of it now.
Promise to you come out surfing. Promise that I should have known.
Fantastic guy, gay icon as well. And now I've got the child catcher, and I am deeply and deliriously happy about that. Out of all proportion, I'm happy about that. So thanks a lot, Aengus. I appreciate that totally, mate. I'm gobsmacked. You can get all the other collectibles there if you choose to, but I'm happy with this one. If you're not going to get the card, this is the one to have. Forget your Correcticus pots, forget Grandpa even. Forget Truly Scrumptious and the kids. And Baron Bombburst, which there isn't a Baron Bombburst. The child catcher is the one you want. And I've got it now. And I'm happy. So that's the haul I've got for you at the moment. Lots of weird stuff, lots of different genres, lots of memorable things, and hopefully none of them is in pan and scan. So thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies. And I have got something that I'm going to be giving to the channel members and the Patreon supporters for Christmas. Something a little bit odd, but they are getting it and the rest of you aren't. And the good thing is I can deliver it to them digitally. So next up we've got Science Fiction Saturday, and I know what I'm doing for that, and it's pretty cool. So until that happens, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I'll catch you next time. By the way, stick around to the end because I've got one of the things we bought for Halloween over the end credits. See you later.